Hello, and thank you for registering for this webinar. We are about to show you how BIM-based quantity takeoff can significantly enhance accuracy, efficiency, and cost of projects. Today, you're going to pick up facts and truth that will transform your career as a quantity surveyor from working harder to smarter. In the next 45 minutes, you are going to get the 4-step process to enable you to do quantity takeoff for a multi-million-dollar project in less than 24 hours. Plus, there are wonderful gifts for you if you stay with me on this transformative webinar till the end. Let's get started. Please click here to like this video. Your comments are welcome. Subscribe to get new videos. Hello, and I welcome you to this great webinar that is actually going to introduce you to the effective skills for BIM-based quantity takeoff. As you go through it, you will have all the skills that will let you have effortless mastery. Just sit back and let's go through it as we move in there. So great, I welcome you to these effective skills for mastering BIM quantity takeoff, okay? We are glad you made time out of your busy schedule and you have scheduled this period to have this webinar with us. We are actually grateful. We are glad you came. But before I continue, I want to know where you are joining us from. Okay, let us know. If you're joining from Europe, you are joining from other parts of Africa, you're joining from Americas, even you are in Ghana. Which city are you joining us from? Let us know. Let us know in the comment box. Okay, so in the comment box, let us know where you are joining us from. Okay, that is good, so we know whom we are interacting with. Great. Now, as we move straight in there, we want to talk about the actual objective of the webinar. So the main objective of this webinar is to demonstrate how mastering BIM technology for quantity takeoff can significantly enhance accuracy, efficiency, and cost management in architectural, engineering, and construction projects, ultimately driving professional growth and project success. Okay, great. Now, before we move straight into achieving the objective we've set for ourselves, let's think through this question. Okay, couple of questions I'm going to ask you. Let's think through that. And actually, it's a rhetorical question. I don't really need answers from you, but think through this question. And we are going to provide solutions to these questions at the tail end of this webinar. Let's take them one by one. So first, how much time do you spend on manual quantity takeoff? And how does this impact on your project timeline? Let me know. Okay, just think about it. Do you spend a lot of time during your taking off? Okay, how cumbersome it is. What time do you spend on your manual quantity takeoff? And how does that impact on the project timeline? 2, have you experienced costly errors due to manual miscalculation or manual calculation in your takeoffs? Have you experienced costly errors due to manual calculations in your takeoff? Perhaps omissions or things that were not clear in the details and you kind of gloss over it. How costly has those errors cost you? What challenges do you face when project design change? And how do you manage updating your quantity takeoff? So after you finish all your calculations, you are now coming to do abstracting and prepare your bill of quantity. What if there are changes along the way? How does that change in design affect your work? In fact, if you want to update your figures, how difficult it is? Does it take you through a lot of time? Do you have to cancel all your taking off sheets and start all over again? Think about that. Can you describe the difficulty in collaborating and communicating due to the segmented nature of the traditional takeoff method? Can you describe it? Perhaps lastly, how accessible and useful is your historical data when estimating quantities for a new project? those old data you have, how do you integrate that? Great. As you've wrapped your mind around this question, I think we can go straight now into the main webinar. But before that, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Abel Kujo. I'm the team head of Cab Royale Limited and Cap Solutions. Cab Royale is a skills development and technology training company. Cab Royale is a partner to Autodesk, so it's an Autodesk learning partner. It is also a partner to Puta Structure in Turkey, the structural design software manufacturers that excellent tool for structural designs of buildings. I'm also a partner to Cap Solutions, which is an online training platform in the US, in a state called Wyoming. So with this, I welcome you. But just to talk a bit about myself too, I'm a BIM expert. As I said already, I'm the CEO of Cab Royale. I have trained thousands of professionals, institutions, and organizations. I'm also a course creator on almost all the Autodesk Revit disciplines. You can find this at online.mycapsolutions.com. That is where I host most of the programs or the courses which I've created. I'm also an AI enthusiast. I've created a very wonderful product in AI prompt engineering, also on Cap Solutions. Now, before we move into the main webinar now to start, let me know in the comment box how and where you heard about our webinar. Is it through the WhatsApp group? Is it through Facebook? Is it through email? Where exactly did you get to know about this webinar? Let me know that in the comment box. Great. So now we can move straight into our work and get our work done. Now, let's talk about BIM. Okay, let's talk about BIM, BIM. BIM has been a major force to reckon with, a new technology that has caused a lot of wave in the AEC sector. If I say AEC, I mean architectural engineering and the construction sector. So it is good we get to know what BIM is. BIM comes in two forms. We have the building information modeling, and then we have the building information management. Now, the building information model is when you use the software like Revit to create a digital model, a virtual model of the real building. That is the building information model. We also have the building information management, where building information management is a cloud-based system, a platform. Example, BIM 360, also by Autodesk, where you can mount the building information model on it. Okay, you can mount your digital model and then collaborate. Collaborating simply means you are sharing it with internal and external team members. Okay, so the architect could be in one region, the engineer could be in a different country, the services engineers like the HVAC system designer can be somewhere, electrical can be somewhere, and they will all be working from that same file. We call that collaboration. That is building information management. Now, in this webinar, when we say BIM, our concentration is on the building information modeling. So now let's look at how American Institute of Architects define BIM. They define BIM as the model-based technology linked with a database of project information. Okay, so you have one digital model that has all the project information attached to it. It is a single file that contains all project data, such as the real properties of the materials and components in the model, the quantities, the spatial relationship, etc. So BIM seeks to create the reality of the building in a virtual form. In the simplest form, that is what BIM does, or that is what BIM is. Now, let's look at some general overview of the BIM technology. What are some of the key features and benefits? The key features include enhanced visualization. So you are not going to work with two-dimensional stuff. No, this is 3D visualization. So if it's about pipe works, you see the pipes. If it's about fixtures, you see the fixtures clearly placed in. If it's about model, you see the 3D model of the structure or the building that you worked on. You also have improved collaboration. Okay, you have improved collaboration. If you want to team up with external or internal members, you'll be able to do that. You also have increased accuracy in design and documentation. Okay, you see, there is this adage that says to error is human. Revit seeks to take away this error in the BIM model. Okay, so because after everyone has worked, you can do what we call interference checks and then clear out every interferences or clashes, just so that if there's going to be a challenge, the challenge will be on the design, on the computer, and then it will be rectified, rather than you meeting it or facing it in real life, and that becomes a very difficult thing to sort out. You also have efficient project management, and then also reduced costs and errors, and the ability to simulate and analyze building performance throughout the entire project lifecycle. These are but some few benefits and features of the BIM technology. Let's look at some of the importance of quantity takeoff in the AEC industry. So, what role does quantity takeoff take in planning and execution of a project? The role of quantity takeoff in project planning and execution is to accurately estimate the materials, labor, and the cost required for a construction project, ensuring essential resource allocation, precise budgeting, and effective scheduling, ultimately contributing to the successful completion of the project within the defined scope and constraints. I hope you get me. Great. Now, let's look at what BIM quantity takeoff is not, because we have spoken about what quantity takeoff in BIM is. Now, let's look at what BIM quantity takeoff is not. And you have to bear this in mind. One, it is not the continuation of a traditional method or your CAD aided method of measurement. No, it is not a continuation of that. This is an entirely new kind of approach to work or to taking off. Okay, you may not need your taking off sheet where you'll be putting up all those measurements. You don't need that, because this is not a continuation of the traditional method of measurement. Number two, it does not operate independently. Okay, if you are taking off, let's say with the Revit software, you may rely on a broader ecosystem of BIM applications for full functionality. We'll be delving deep into this and explaining it into details as we move on. So, actually, BIM is not the continuation of the traditional method or the CAD aided method of measurement. Okay? And two, it does not operate independently. It relies on the broader ecosystem of BIM applications for full functionality. Now, we are going to look at the technology usage in quantity takeoff from the 50s to the current time. Okay, great. So here, if you look at the legend here, the lines with yellow are the traditional method of quantity takeoff, where you use the taking off sheets, you have your calculator, you have your pens, you have your physical blueprint or the printed drawings, okay, and you're going to take off. These things were actually something that was invoked, that everybody was using from the 50s to about the 80s. Then we started getting the infusion or the introduction of digital tools like Excel spreadsheets to assist in the manual calculation. We also had the infusion of CAD, that's computer aided design or drafting tools. Okay, example of that is AutoCAD. So we started having that one also in, and now taking off in the 90s became a combination. So you have both the manual calculation or the traditional calculation, which is now being fused with things like CAD, that's AutoCAD, spreadsheets. Now, when you move right into the 2000s, we saw the adoption of that, the computer aided designs, okay, like the AutoCAD. Now it became so much accepted. So every quantity surveyor that wants to do quantity takeoff will now, in addition to the printed drawings you give, will now be asking for a CAD version of the software. But check one thing, as new technology comes in, we have the traditional method also declining, the usage declining. it was 100% of its usage until the 70s. In the 80s, we started having those computer aided systems coming in. And so as the computer aided methods increase, you see a huge decline of the traditional method. So in the 2000s, you could see that the CAD was also taken up, and then the decline of the traditional method was also in equal measure. But in between these times, from 2000, you can see that BIM also started coming in. Okay, BIM systems also started coming in. And then from up to 2010, people started hybridizing it. So now you have a hybrid of it. You have the BIM systems, you have your spreadsheets, and then you have a little input of the traditional or the manual calculations. Okay. But right from 2010 to 2020, you could see a steep rise, because at this point, people have now started appreciating BIM and also exploring how the BIM will also help in the overall quantity takeoff. Okay, so you could see decline in now the use of the traditional methods, that is the manual taking off. Even with a spreadsheet to take off, those ones are even declining. You get it? It is declining, and then you are having the BIM method rising. Okay, so now if you are to pick probably around 2024, you will realize a merger, because the computer aided systems are still needed even within the period of the BIM. Okay, you still need your spreadsheet for your work, and as the BIM based methods rise, but the traditional method keeps declining. It will keep declining. Now, even from 2020 globally, you could see that the usage is about 50%. So the 50% are those who actually are resisting the change, but it will keep declining. Like 2024, 2025, 2026, you see it's rapidly declining and nearing zero. And BIM is actually on the rise now, because every construction professional, every quantity surveyor is looking at getting to use BIM, not only for taking off, but also for the project management, for your budgeting, and for all those other stuff that you want to do, your scheduling, everything that you want to do. Okay. So as we said, from 2010 upwards, we saw the growing adoption of building information modeling for integrated and automated quantity takeoff. Okay. We also realize now that BIM is becoming the preferred method due to its accuracy, efficiency, and the ability to enhance collaboration and data integration across project stakeholders. Okay. Great. So now, if this new way of taking off, that's the BIM-based method, is now coming up, can we compare the BIM-based method to the traditional method of taking off? Can we do that? Great, let's do that. We are going to compare the traditional method of taking off to the BIM-based method. But one thing that we have to put across is that it is actually like you doing away with an old habit and introducing a new habit. The mindset ought to change. Your appreciation of it should be something that is welcoming, okay? Because it is that old way of doing this is actually fading out. But it doesn't mean it is actually going to go away. We actually need it. If you are very good in the BIM-based method, you don't know the principles that underlie the traditional method, your foundation on the BIM-based method is weak. Okay, it's weak. And so those who have strong footing on the traditional methods, they stand at a good opportunity in actually making it using the BIM-based methods, because the principles are there, the first principles are there, the understanding how the whole thing should go about is there. All they need is to just use these new tools to get their work done. So they will rather feel at home, they will feel very comfortable, and all that is left for them to do is to just change and adapt. Okay. So let's compare the BIM-based methods. But if you say we are going to compare, we can compare them on factors. We have to pick items and then compare the two. So we are going to pick about 7 main items and then compare the traditional method of taking off to the BIM-based method. At this stage, if you have any big question, okay, any question, and you want answers to, just put it in the comment. I will be answering that right away. Okay, I'll be answering it. If probably because of the webinar I mess it up, I will respond back to you in mail or something like that. Okay, I will definitely answer or get back to you with the answer. Okay, so that is it. Now let's compare the traditional method of taking off and the BIM-based method. So now we are going to critically compare the two methods and their advantages. So let's pick a key item like accuracy. If you compare traditional method of taking off and BIM-based method, you realize that the traditional method is prone to manual errors and miscalculation. Okay, there's errors, there can be possible omission, there can also be miscalculation. Okay, if you misapply a particular formula, you get it wrong. No two ways. If in punching the calculator, you make an error in punching the calculator, it's gone. The mistake is done. You record it as the answer and it will be wrong. Even with approximation, because you are required as a contributor to keep your variables in two decimal places. So as you approximate, you start dropping 0.01 figures, 0.02 figures, and kind of wrapping it up to two decimal places. And by the time you realize, you would have created a whole lot of difficulty there at the other end. Now, for the BIM-based method, there is high accuracy because the calculations are automated. The moment you bring the model in and you adjust it to the actual size, the quantities comes with it. So on accuracy, the BIM-based method is highly accurate. It's more accurate because it uses automated calculations. Number two, let's look at it on the face of time efficiency. The traditional method is actually time consuming due to the manual processes involved. The BIM-based method is not time consuming. You save significant time. It is faster because automated data extraction is what you use. Every quantity is in the model. The model comes with the entire database. So your job in BIM-based method is just to extract it. So you can do a multi-million-dollar project in less than 24 hours. Less than 24 hours. Okay? And these are things that we are talking about. Let's look at it also on data integration. So the traditional method of taking off, you are limited in integration, okay, with other project tools because it's paper. It's paperwork, and you have your pencils and pens, you've written, you scribble whatever you have to write and have it. How do you integrate that into other project tools? It becomes a challenge. But for the BIM-based method, it is seamless integration with various project management tools. The integration is seamless. We can look at the visualization. Okay, the traditional method relies on 2D drawings and documentation, or the documents that is given to you. If it is CAD, two-dimensional work, or if it is PDF drawings or it's printed drawings. So these are 2D drawings and documents. The BIM-based method, you use advanced 3D visualizations and modeling. Okay. Number 5, if you are comparing it in terms of collaboration, you can see that traditional method of taking off it's difficult to share and synchronize even the data. Okay, how are you going to share your taking off stuff? You don't even show it to anybody. Okay, it's only for your own verification. So what you do is that it is the final build that they see. Okay, because the taking off sheet becomes more like your rough work where you did your rough work. Okay, and what you show to people is actually the bill of quantities. In BIM-based method, you have enhanced collaboration with shared digital models. Okay, enhanced collaboration. It is easy to collaborate with other systems which are enhanced. If we look at number 6, which is updates. So let's compare the traditional method and the BIM-based method on updates and changes. So what happens if the clients make changes to the drawing? What happens? For the manual, you need to do manual updates. And it is easy, you are prone to oversight. It's easy to miss out a lot of things, and you are prone to oversight. If you pick BIM-based method, the update is automatic. Anything you change, it updates automatically because BIM has a property we call bidirectional associativity. What it means is that whatever you do anywhere updates automatically everywhere. So if you make modifications to the model, the quantities also automatically update as you make those changes. Let's look at the last point, the 7th point, which is cost estimation. For the traditional method, it is less precise. We all know why, because of the manual approach. Okay, you're using a calculator, you approximate. I mean, you may make some mistakes and all those kind of stuff. So there's higher risk of budget overrun. But for BIM-based method, it is more precise. So you have a more precise cost management and budget management. So that is it. So if this comparison is made, and all these things are as good as we have indicated, then let's ask ourselves, why is it that most architectural, engineering, and construction professionals shy away from the BIM-based method? Why do they shy away from it? Why do they shy away from it? I feel there are a lot of questions which they want answers to. We are going to go through, and then I'm going to show you some of the major reasons that professionals shy away from this BIM-based method. And most of these also came out of research that we also did at our end. Cabroya. We spoke to a lot of quantity surveyors and a lot of practitioners in the construction industry. And these are some of the responses that we got. And so we'll be sharing that with you. One, some of the major reasons why professionals shy away from the BIM-based method is that one, they say there is high initial investment. Okay, so they say the cost of acquiring the BIM software and the required hardware can be substantial, especially for small firms and individual practitioners. So based on that, it takes them off from this whole thing. Okay, so that's it. So that is the first reason that we got. What does that become the consequence on the people? So he said you require additional expenses also for training and possibly hiring specialized staff, and that can also be prohibitive. We'll be looking at that, okay? But the whole point is this. Of course, when you are moving into any new technology, you have to buy the hardware and you also have to acquire the software. If you make this thing inhibit you, you're going to end up missing up on the whole cost saving effect of the BIM. The time alone, you can do 8 months job in less than 24 hours. Can you compare the number of people that you will put on the project to do such stuff? Okay. And then also, when you talk about additional expenses for training and possibly hiring specialized staff, if we get to training, I will recommend Cab Royal Training Center for you. Or you can go to online.mycabsolutions.com. There are courses which are moderate, okay, which you can buy and take it online, okay, at your own pace, at your own time. You will see the benefit of this. Another reason they spoke about in our research is the learning curve. So if you transition to BIM, they say it requires significant time and effort to learn the new technology and workflow. Yes, that is the reality. Of course, if you're learning something new, it will take time for you to catch up with it. But BIM in particular is not as straightforward as CAD, where you just use lines to represent stuff. Here in BIM, the system is actually loaded. So what you have to do is to know how to use them. You need to know where to find what. And many professionals are accustomed to the traditional method and they find it challenging to adapt to the complexity of the BIM software. The BIM software is undoubtedly not a straightforward something because you're going to end up having all the disciplines in one particular program. So definitely it comes with its own complexities. But these are all perceived or perceptions that makes it difficult for the professionals to adapt. But all these things are actually very well taken care of. I can recommend by Cab Royal and Cab Solutions. Okay, so when you go to the sites which I'll be showing you as we move on, you will get all the benefit that I'm talking about. There's also resistance to change. You see, established practices and workflows in the industry can create resistance to adopting new technologies. And professionals who are comfortable with their current methods may be hesitant to change due to fear of disruption or uncertainty about the benefits. So some people in general do not like change, so they will resist it. People were migrating from the drawing board to AutoCAD or computer-aided drafting and design tools. A lot of people decided not to change because they felt the CAD was going to make human lazy. It is the same mindset when the calculator was introduced. They said it's not going to make human beings smarter. We are going to be dumb because the calculator will now be doing the work for us. But look at how useful the calculator has been. The same thing, the same mindset, the same issue arose when professionals were migrating from the drawing board to the CAD software. We are now at the same crossroad where we are migrating from CAD to BIM. If you stay behind, it will be your own challenge. So the best situation for you is to migrate and stop the resisting. Another major reason is perceived complexity. So the comprehensive and detailed nature of BIM can be overwhelming. So and leading to the perception that it is more complex than the traditional method. Of course, if you are picking up a new tool, you will need some time to go over it, to get used to it. Okay, you will need some time to get used to it. So it comes with its own initial challenge. But if you learn it from the right places, very soon you will get used to it, and applying it will be very, very easy. So because of that perceived complexity, professionals may be intimidated, or sometimes they are intimidated by the need to manage and coordinate large amounts of data and detailed model. But I'm here to tell you that cool off, relax. All these perceptions are not something that is unsurmountable. Okay. And I wasn't also creating a mountain, I was just reflecting people's perception to BIM. I can boldly tell you that it is not wholly true. So at this point, I'm telling you, cool off, relax. It is not as complex as others perceive it. I will share with you how to get through all these things. But the key thing I want to put across here is that how BIM is complex, or whether BIM is complex or not, it's about who is teaching you and how it is taught. If you are taught by people who are also users of it and have the experience in breaking it down, you end up finding it very easy. Even in school, you might have gotten teachers who made algebra very difficult for you, and there were some that will let you grab it within a twinkle of an eye. Do you get it? So that is it. It is who is teaching you and how it is taught. Where you learn it from also matters. So now, let's break it down. Are you ready? Before I expose you to these effective tools and how you can go around all these things, let me first break it down. Let me first tell you what LOD is. Okay. I want to start from the beginning. I want to start from the very beginning because I'm going to build my case and introduce you to some of these effective tools and where you can get the job done. I hope you've learned a lot up to this point. If you've gotten it, put it up in the comment section. Type IAL, that's I am learning. I'm learning IAL in the comment box, and then let's move on with it. So, what is LOD? LOD is actually a key driver of precision in BIM quantity takeoff. LOD simply means level of development. Okay, level of development, LOD. So LOD in BIM stands for level of development or level of detail. It is a crucial concept in building information modeling process. It defines the degree of detail and accuracy in a 3D model used at the various stages of design, construction, and operation of buildings. Let's see how it's broken down. It's broken down to about 6 different levels. We call that the various levels in LOD. So the first level, we call it LOD 100. It's about conceptual, okay? So the LOD 100 is about the conceptual stage of your project. So this represents the basic massing and conceptual model of the project. It includes approximate dimensions and might be used for general project discussion and at the early stage. So you put out the model, the client is asking you, okay, so how much is this thing going to cost? If you give an estimate at the conceptual stage, where you've even not agreed on how the dimensions and other things is going to be, whatever cost you have given can be considered as LOD 100 estimates. Do you get it? The level of detailing at that place was actually not clear. So it is not a reliable estimate you have provided. Okay? Let's get to LOD 200. So at this point, you have probably developed the floor plans. You know how the dimensions are going to be. You know how many levels is going to be, the story levels. You know about all these things. And so at this point, you can provide approximate quantities because you have the shape, you know the location, you know the orientation, and also some of these things are used for early to mid design phases. We call these ones guesstimation or guess estimation. So at this stage, what you do is that you look at projects that you've done before. So let's say if I have done a project with floor area of about 1,000 square meters, and I'm doing a similar commercial project which about 600 square meters, I can pick up approximations, okay, and then guess that if, let's say, the 1,000 square meters cost me $1 million, then the 600 is going to cost me $600,000. Do you get it? So that one is a guess estimate you are giving, but at least there are some precise dimensions, the location is known, orientation, and some other initial things that you didn't know at the conceptual stage is now known. Then we have LOD 300. If your level of detailing of your drawing is as a level that we call the detailed design level, that's LOD 300, it means your model are accurate to exact dimensions. You've done the working drawings, you're showing specific assemblies and spatial relationship. This level is suitable for documentation, authorization, and construction detailing. So at this point, it's like you getting standard working drawings and doing your work. Most of the time, when you receive such drawings, the standard and the level of works will be around LOD 300. We have LOD 350. LOD 350 is where you have construction detailing. So here, there is a much more detail that is added. So here in the room, I have labeled it. Let's say I've labeled my floor finish to be porcelain floor finish, and that's all. In the construction detailing, I'll be providing much more detail, probably further detail of the supplier and some other stuff. So if you are even picking up on cost, it's not going to be estimated cost, but actually precise cost. So in LOD 350, you have actual details, okay? So it includes model detail necessary for construction, including interfaces between various building systems. Though some minor components may not be included, it is much more precise than the LOD 300. Then we also have what we call the LOD 400. The LOD 400 is where you have extra precise data. So we call that fabrication and assembly. At that LOD 400 level, you have details of the fabrication, assembly, and installation of various components. So if you are going to probably install a warehouse building, you know the actual size, the assembled drawings, you have the very detailed, precise estimates which you can actually put in it. Most of the time, when you also get detailed cost estimate from the one that is going to construct it for you, you know it's not going to change. It is static. This is what has been priced. Let's say you are picking some components from the manufacturer and you've gotten very detailed design and then cost. We can rate all those ones under LOD 400. LOD 500 is not something that you are actually going to do. It's actually after you've done all the designs, the building has been constructed. We call it the as-built. So now you have replaced all the estimated figures now with real figures. So you have detailed drawings because every aspect, every construction process, every item that you use in the project is now documented. So you have very detailed as-built drawings, and then you also have detailed as-built estimates or cost. Okay, so that's the highest ideal level that anybody would have wished to have obtained at the early stages, but you always get it at the end of it. We call that LOD 500. So I believe you have actually understood what the LOD means. It's actually the level of development or the level of detailing. So the key thing here is this: the accuracy of your quantity will actually depend on the LOD that you have for your drawings. If your drawings have very low LOD, you're going to get very inaccurate estimates. Okay, so when the designers, the architects, the draftsmen, all those involved in design give you very low level or low LOD details or drawings, it gives room for you to guess and put certain things in which may not be very precise. And the sad thing is that some deliberately produce drawing as if that is all they need to do. It's like they are just giving you some standard minimal drawing, no much details. If you want more, contact me or something like that. It's like they give you the drawings, I mean, for you to engage them further. Those ones are not the best way. You can also meet some drawings or have some drawings where the drawings produced are of the relevant details. You have enough work and because the person wants you to work the way they want you to do on the project. They don't want you to guess. They don't want you to bring in what you want, but they want to give you enough details so you do it the way that they want it. Such drawings actually have very high LOD, and the higher the LOD, the more precise your cost will be, your quantities will be. So that is it. I hope you're getting it. So if you're getting it, let me get it in there now at the comment box. So just type something in there. Type it that you are getting it. Type it, you are getting it. Okay, great. So at this point, hello, I want you to know that we are in 2024. Okay, you don't have to work harder, you have to work smarter. Work smarter. Don't stick to the old ways of doing things which is not working. It is having a toll on you. It is consuming almost all your time. When that happens, you will not be having time for very important things like your project management or your taking care of your family and all those stuff. You'll be stressed up because everything requires manual taking. Please work smarter and not harder. Okay. So what are some of the effective skills for quantity takeoff? I mean, here we are now addressing the core reason why this webinar was created, but I have to make all those initial points there so you understand me more. So what are some of the effective skills for quantity takeoff using BIM-based technology? What are they? I'm going to share some with you now. The first effective skill one must have is that you must understand BIM. Not just knowing this is it, not that. No, understand BIM. Get to understand BIM very, very well. Know how it is implemented, know how it is used, know the various forms of it, know how it affects your industry, your discipline, your profession. Okay, and then come into it with an informed mind. Okay, so have greater understanding of BIM. It is a skill you need to have. Now, if you check the comment, if you check the description, I'll be giving you the link. If you have no idea of it, I have a course on CAP solutions. The link is there in the description. You can click on that after the video, and then you can have a 2.5 hours free course on BIM just for you to be abreast with this. I just want to give that to you at this point. This is a gift I'm giving to you, and I want you to have deeper understanding of BIM. Okay, so get down there and then get it right. The second point is this: you also need to appreciate LODs so that when you see it, you will know that this detail I'm having, I'm supposed to guess the estimate, or I'm supposed to provide detailed cost estimation, or what have you. Okay, so you have to understand and appreciate the LOD and the method of measurement. BIM-based taking off is not replacing your measurements skills. Everything still applies. Your formulas still applies. Okay, your formulas that you use in calculating, it still applies. To be extremely effective, you need to know, because those become the principles that you need. Other than that, you just be extracting the data and you will not be able to put them together to form or to get your BOQ. So first, understand BIM. It is very important. And in this case, I will recommend that after understanding BIM in general, narrow down to Revit if you want to know or have an idea about the building information modeling. Why? Because Autodesk controls 67 to 70% of the BIM market. What that means is that globally, if you should sample 10 people, it is likely you're going to have between 6 and 7 people using Revit. So why are you wasting your time on other ones where the users of it are minimal? Great. Let's go to the third one. This is actually, for me, the most important skill you need to have. You must have greater knowledge of the modeling process and improve your skills. The modeling process. You must know how to model. It is very, very important. In fact, if you ask me the 3 most important skills you need to have for BIM quantity takeoff, I would say number 1, modeling, number 2, modeling, number 3, modeling. It is a new skill you need to have. If you don't know how to model, you're going to struggle in BIM. You're going to be dependent on people in BIM, because the current state we are in now, we are in a transition stage where people are now moving from CAD to BIM. So the level of development you will expect from the people are not that much. So if they present the drawing to you and the drawing is complex and you have it in PDF and you can get a BIM technician to model it up precisely for you, it will be easy for you to extract the data. But if you know how to model, you can model it yourself. If I have a project that is going to take me about 8 months, with probably 20 people to do the taking off. Very huge project, okay? And I know how to model, and the drawing is given to me in PDF. I'll use 1 month myself to model and use 24 hours to extract the data and finish the work in a month. I'd rather do it that way than to use 8 months and engage about 20 people and get the work done. So the most important skill you need to have, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you are doing BIM quantity takeoff services, you are doing electrical, mechanical, plumbing, you are doing architecture. The number one skills you need to have is model. If you're talking about building information modeling, know how to model. Pick the skill, acquire the skill. The earlier you get it, the better. Don't get deceived. Don't get discouraged. I mean, don't be brainwashed by certain perceptions. Please get the work done. Go with it that way. Go for it, and you will not regret it. That is the most important skill. If you get it, quantity extraction is easy. MVP is easy, especially if you know what you're about, okay? But the modeling skills is key. You should be able to inspect models when they are given to you. You should be able to also manipulate it if the need be. You should be able to model it if the drawing is sizable. And I mean, it's a very interesting skill you need to have. So pick my note. I said, if there are the 3 most important skills you need to have, I will recommend modeling. Okay, so that is number 3. Number 4, you have to master the tools used for specific quantity extraction if you do not have access to third-party apps and plugins. We have third-party apps and plugins. Third-party apps are more like you need some other plugins to estimate the volume of excavation, or you need some third-party tools to estimate probably the area of form work and things like that. If you want to rely on the Revit alone to get it, then you must know how to, like, which tool to use for what. That is very, very important. So let's go through some of the answers for the earlier question which I asked you, and I told you, don't worry. Let's look at the solutions that we have for you, okay? Because by the time we finish with this, I'm going to introduce you to the solutions and then make your transition to BIM and BIM modeling and BIM quantity takeoff very easy. So just stay with me to the end. You're going to have it. So the first question I asked was, how much time do you spend on manual quantity takeoff? And how does it impact your project timelines? With our solution, you can just imagine reducing these hours significantly with BIM-based takeoff, allowing for real-time automated calculations. How could this change the way you manage your project? It's actually going to do a lot. Number 2, so have you experienced costly errors due to manual calculation in your takeoffs? With our BIM solution, when you master BIM, you can consider the accuracy that BIM can provide by automating measurements directly from the digital model. Okay, it will eliminate these errors and help improve your project budget and reduce financial risks. Number 3, the question I asked was, what challenges do you face when project design changes? And how do you manage the updates? It is difficult in the traditional method, but with BIM, design updates are integrated automatically. Okay, so it's automatically built into the model. Updating quantities in real time, it helps, and that is how it works. So how will this capability transform your response to design changes? You will not even sweat. The moment the model is changed, the quantities are updated and you extract it straight away. Number 4, can you describe the difficulty in collaboration and communication due to segmented nature of the traditional method? You see, BIM uses a centralized data, okay, enhancing collaboration across all stakeholders with a single source of truth, which is your BIM model. How could better integration improve your team efficiency and project outcomes? It can really, really help. The 5th question I asked earlier was, how accessible and useful is your historical data when estimating quantities for new projects? In BIM, BIM allows for easy access to and reuse of historical data, providing valuable benchmarks that can enhance accuracy. Let's ask ourselves, how will streamlined access to such data benefit your future projects? Great. So these are all solutions which are actually going to solve all the challenges and hurdles we have mentioned above. Before we move in, or before I even show you some of them, okay, and what I have installed for you, let's first look at what these solutions does not represent. 1, It does not represent a quick fix to your BIM challenge. So you will have to have the time and go through it and get it. But I can tell you, when you engage Cab Royale or Cab Solutions, you can have this thing as actually a quick fix. Okay, you will go through it with the ease you will not believe. Number two, it is not a replacement of your quantity formulas and method of measurement. You will still need your formulas. You will still need your method of measurement. So the key thing you need now, you need patience, you need practice, and you need consistency. Patience is key. Practice will make you perfect. And then also consistency is also very key. Okay, you need to be using the tools and practicing alongside. So the solution we have is called the masterclass on BIM quantity takeoff, the precision craft. Okay, where we are going to unlock precision in cost estimation. So what do we guarantee you after the training? The guarantee that we give to you is that at the advanced level, you will be able to take off for a multi-million-dollar project in less than 24 hours. It is not exaggeration. It is called technology. Okay, it is called technology. That is where we've gotten to now. So now works are made very, very easy with the use of these modern technologies. So don't feel like this is actually exaggeration. No, it can actually be less than 24 hours. But just for you not to feel that it is impossible, that is why I mentioned 24 hours. But you can get it in far less than 24 hours. Multi-million-dollar project you can take off in less than 24 hours. That is our guarantee. So you can start a journey with us. So the solution we have can be presented by two institutions or our two partners. We have Cab Solutions LLC, and then we also have the Cab Royale. So you can explore your options. Okay. Now let's unpack what Cab Royale has for you. So in fact, now at this point, when you check at the description, okay, or at the message portion at the description, you will find out that there's a link there, that the Cab Royale link or the Cab Royale's offer. When you click that link, it will help you to choose the time that you want to have the training with Cab Royale. Okay, for Cab Royale, it gives you two main offers. The first offer is live face-to-face instructor-led program. So whether you come face-to-face to our office in Kokomimle, Accra, Ghana, or you can join the live sessions on Zoom or online. Okay, live instructor, you can ask live questions and the instructor will answer you at certain sessions or certain times. Okay, that is it for the first option. The second option is also an online instructor-led program. Okay, that is those who are not able to come to us. You just fill the form and enroll, and then choose your training preference and the date you want to train, and you will be able to get it. That is the first option. Okay, that if you want to find out when the training is starting, it is indicated on the form. When you fill it, you will know the exact time to get around with some of these things. Okay. Now, the second option that you had was Cab Solutions, which actually gives you about 50% of more than 50% of what Cab Royale will be giving, because this one, it is purely an online course. You don't have access to the instructor, except that if you have some questions that you need to be asked, if you send the mail to it or you ask the question, you're going to receive responses to it, and then you move on with your work. Okay. The good thing is that for this online course, you can take it anywhere, any day, anytime, at your own pace and at your convenience. Okay. Nobody tells you, meet me at this point and take it. You go live and then you take it. You just have to draw your schedule. And then if it is 1 hour training you are doing a day, you meet that 1 hour and then you get it done. Okay. So this one too, I'll show you the site where you can go and then buy the course from there. Okay. So that is the Cab Solutions one. So if you visit online.mycabsolutions.com, the link will be in the description. The link will be in the description. When you go to online.mycabsolutions.com, the link to the quantities course is there. But if you go to online.mycabsolutions.com, you're going to have the entire course displayed. There are several of them. We have some on AI, prompt engineering, we have Revit architecture, we have Revit electrical or MEP, electrical, plumbing, quantities, and all, in fact, a whole lot. We have the online courses, we have membership courses. Okay, so you can take that and that will help you. You can also reach Cab Solutions on these WhatsApp lines, and you will be sorted out. Okay, so yes, so if you go, you are going to have it done, so you'll be able to elevate your skills So thank you for your attention. I really appreciate your coming. Okay, I really appreciate your coming. You've made time, and I know you are going to take up the next step, and the work is going to be very easy for you from this point. Thank you so much for making time to go through this webinar with us. I hope I was able to send you all the information that you need to help you transition to BIM, and also give you enough reason to adapt to BIM, then also be current, okay? Because you're in 2024, you are supposed to work smarter and not harder. You are paid for the work you've produced. You are not paid for the hard work you brought in there. I thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful for your coming. If you want to get more about us, or if you want to learn more about us, you can get Cab Royal on Facebook. Facebook too. You can also reach Cab Solutions on there. When you go to Instagram, it's Cab Royal Training Center. Okay, LinkedIn, you can find Cab Royal. You can also get me Ibel Kujo on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much for your time. Go and enroll now.
For immediate access to the full course and to start transforming your skills today, click the link in the description below and enroll now. Or visit online.mycabsolutions.com.